Welcome into Rounding the Bases.
Round the bases. Everybody knows Joe Goldberg. It's around the bases. Everybody knows Joe Goldberg.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into another episode of Rounding the Bases, presented by Community America Credit Union, invested in you. Shout out to my friends at Chief of Staff Kansas City, making connections that matter, and I love everybody over there. If you're looking for a job, looking to hire someone, looking for a resource, I highly recommend you check them out. They're just great people that care. chiefofstaffkc.com, making connections that matter. My connection today comes from the one and only, the great Michael Mackey, who I was joking with my guest. Michael should just be on the payroll now. If you're listening, Michael, I'm not offering, okay? So just back off. But Michael is always throwing me the best guests. Maybe it's repayment for having him on. That's not it. We're just good buddies, and he knows great people, and that'll be the same for my guest today. As we start to wrap up Women's History Month, we've really highlighted some amazing women, and I've got another incredible woman for you today with just a truly awesome story. There are stories you tell, and then there are stories you feel. Today, we're stepping into the bold, brilliant world of Clarissa Knighten, the visionary CEO of Rissa's artistic design, whose wearable art accessorizes and empowers with risk-taking designs that spark a conversation every time they're worn. But beyond the accolades of fashion runways, art museums, and movie screens, hers is a story of healing. Because for Clarissa, art isn't just a career, it's an essential part of who she is, paving the way for limitless vision to come to life and saving her own along the way. I am so excited right now to be joined by Clarissa, our mutual friend of Michael Mackey. I know never leads me in the wrong direction. How are you?
I'm very well, Joel. How are you?
I'm good. You're already the best dressed guest that I've had on here, which I would expect nothing less. You're the first guest that has come on here that might have wearing some of what she might have actually made herself, which is so cool. But that's my way of saying complete admiration for what you're doing, and we'll get into your story. But what's going on in your world nowadays?
Oh my gosh, so many things. I am trying to always create. I'm creating something new and fun and envisioning something different. So that's what's going on with me. I'm just trying to find new things, new materials to inspire people right now.
Let's talk about that. I will be, and I told you before we came on, I am not a fashion guy, although I always want to try to look good, if that makes sense. Meaning that there are days I leave the house, my wife is like, that's just a bad idea. And there are other days where I get the nod of approval, but I do think about it. But it's one thing to want to look good. It's another thing to help people feel good, to be able to create, and then to be able to see your vision, your creation turn into certain feelings. And I'm wondering how much that's a part of, I don't know if I want to call it the crux of what you do, but I don't think that many of us think about who makes what we wear, oftentimes because it might not be a single person. But I don't know. I mean, I don't think about the designer or anything like that, but I know that the designer oftentimes, I feel good about what I'm wearing. How much pride goes into that for you?
Just recently I was at an event and I ran into probably, no less than 15 people wearing my work. And I felt like a movie star. I felt like, they're wearing my work and every single piece was different. And I thought then, God, you have really blessed me to create one-of-a-kind pieces that not only lift me up when I'm making them, but the specific perfect person picks it out to wear it, and it brings out something else in them as well. And so when I see the breadth of my work together in a room, sometimes I'm taken aback of, I did the damn thing. I did that. I did that.
I mean, just today I'm looking at you and you've got just such cool jewelry on. I assume it's all your designs, right?
It is.
What is that?
It is.
It looks like,
It is.
first off, it looks like something that I've never seen before. Well, I mean, it isn't, right? But I mean, like, it looks like something so truly unique.
Yeah, this piece that I'm wearing right now is copper and brass and nickel alloy, and it has ox bone in it. So what I do is depends on what I'm wanting to wear. Like I made this specifically for today because I wanted to wear a sweatshirt, but I wanted to wear it and dress it up. So it's just a matter of conversations. All of my pieces, I say, bring the conversation. My work brings conversation to you. So, like, I'm an introvert. And because I'm an introvert, there's lots of us like that out there. And I don't want to walk up to people and talk to them. I want people to come over to me. And if they come over to me and talk to me about what I'm wearing, that gives me an opportunity to say, I'm the designer, and talk more in that regard.
Yeah, because I always say, I mean, I speak about trust and building, strong teams, relationships, that when you're trying to build trust with someone, find some kind of commonality. And by the way, it doesn't even have to be an interest of yours. It should be an interest of theirs. Yeah. So I may not know a lot about jewelry and fashion, but if I walk up to you and I say, wow, Clarissa, that is unbelievable, that suddenly, I'm guessing, as an introvert, gives you the green light to be able to step out and to be comfortable in your lane. Is that correct?
That's correct. It helps me to talk about my work in a different way, and also talk to them about, what is it about it that you like? Talk to me about that. And what do you normally wear? What do you normally do? And sometimes I hear people say, I'm not a big jewelry wearer. I'm not a big sculptural jewelry wearer. And why is that? It could be because of their size or their personality. But I often challenge people, just give me one chance. Just one chance. Just come to my studio and let's try some things on, and let's play, and let's see how you feel. And more than likely, they feel different about it from what they came in.
How does that make you feel when you sell them whatever it is, that they have this something they want, or maybe they don't know they want, and they end up with it? What does that do for you?
Well, it keeps me going. It keeps me going creatively, because sometimes I create pieces and I'm not real sure about them, or I create pieces, large sculptural pieces just for me. And then somebody comes in and they say, I want to wear that. I want to wear it to a gala. And I'm thinking, why? Why do you want that? What's striking you about that? So it tells me to keep going with what I love. Continue with what I love and how I feel. And now everything that I create, I love it. I love every single thing that I create.
So let's go back a little bit, because I love asking all my guests this question if they have gone a different route. And almost everybody that I have on this show ended up somewhere different than they started. And, in my case, I always like to say, well, I knew I wanted to be on TV from a young age because I love to talk, and I love to talk about sports. But I couldn't have envisioned it would end up with this. I certainly could not have envisioned beyond baseball and TV that I'd be speaking and have a podcast, because podcasts didn't even exist back then. But I guess my question for you, and like so many guests that end up going a different route at some point, how does one go from 19 years at Blue Cross Blue Shield to this?
And even Blue Cross Blue Shield was not where I wanted to be. I wanted to be an architect. I love architecture. So that's where I wanted to be. But for Blue Cross, unfortunately, my job was outsourced. And as you know, I'm 57. So in our generation, things happen and they outsource positions. And mine was outsourced and impacted by 8 other employees were impacted. But I had already been creating jewelry beforehand. And I knew that when I retired, I wanted to go into jewelry full time. So that was my little extra push. But even how I ended up at Blue Cross, I dealt with numbers all day. That was my thing, was the numbers. And so I'm a right brain, left brain thinker. I can do the analytics and I can do the creativity. But when that happened, after those 19 years, I knew that from therapy, because I battle with, you probably read some of my story, I battle with depression and eating disorder. But with that, when that happened, I decided, this is the time to jump into it full time. I started making the jewelry for healing, and while I was at Blue Cross, and so with the healing and the next step of my journey, it was just the perfect timing.
As I was reading about you and looking at videos and all the stuff that's out there, and I've been featured on the local news and other places. There were a couple things that really resonated with me in I think just a personal way, I guess. One was the timeline, only in the sense that so much of your life changed back in 2007, I believe. And we're talking 19 years. The timeline is relevant just personally to me because I moved here in 2008. And so I have a very strong sense of what 19 years is. It's been 18 years, since we moved here, meaning that, I uprooted my family, at the time, 2 young kids, and came here and started a new TV job with the Royals. And so, the years blend together for most of us, right? We get into you said your age first, but we're both in our 50s. So, the further along we get, you start to forget some things and all of that. But I have a very vivid memory of that time. So my point is that I can relate to how long it's been since your life transformed, since everything changed. The second piece is, like anyone else, my family has dealt with mental health just like most have. I know this much, and here's some of the relevance, that we weren't talking about mental health in 2007. And now, and I'm not sure about those of us in our 50s, but I can tell you that with kids in their 20s, that sounds crazy to say because they were 2 and 5 when we moved here, but they talk about it with their friends like it's just part of life. I'm not saying they're taking it lightly. I'd say the opposite, that they have a better grasp of it than most of us adults do. You went through it all. And I sit there and before you start talking about it, I want to commend you for being willing to talk to people about it, because I think that the more people that have been through it, whether it be themselves or with their family, and by the way, when you go through it with your family, you're going through it too, that the more we talk about it, I know we hear removing the stigma a lot, but the more we talk about it, the more comfortable we get in understanding this is a very real thing. We would talk about other diseases, and we've always felt like we can't touch this one. And I feel like we're getting more comfortable talking about it. So I'd love to hear a little bit more, whatever you're willing to talk about your journey and what jewelry and this business and this passion has done for you, because I see the way you radiate when you start talking about your jewelry and your passion and your love of it, just the way you talked about somebody coming up to you. And I'm wondering what Clarissa in 2026 is like versus, say, 2007 or before.
Absolutely. That's thank you so much for your kind words. Depression is near and dear to my heart for a number of reasons, and I apologize for not looking you eye to eye when I say some of these things, because it's still hard. It's still hard to talk about, but I know that I have to, because I'm still alive, because of the jewelry and having an opportunity. And I won't even say jewelry. Let me just say being creative. Whatever your creative outlet is, to do that. And from therapy, jewelry is what came out for me. But it's important because I get an opportunity now to talk about something that My parents had no idea what was going on with me. Who's 10 years old and banging their head against the wall and getting knots on their head intentionally so that I can have something physical to touch and to see that because you can't see, sometimes you can't see a mental illness. You can't see those things, maybe through someone's actions or reactions. But if I bang my head on the wall or if I hit myself, with a bat in the knees, then I'm going to get a bruise. I'm going to get a bump. It's something that I can feel, and I'm not crazy. But it's taken me a long time to get to the point to share my story and how I go up and down, and let people in. I have an ice list, and that's in case of emergency, that when I know that I'm in trouble or I'm heading toward a bad, dark place, I call it a quiet place. When I'm heading toward that quiet place, that I can reach out and say, I need you. And those people, somebody is on that list, is there. But I've been able to do that because I want help. I need help. And when you look at me, you would never think that I battle with depression. I appear as a strong, bald, Black woman, but that's not always the case. Sometimes when I'm dealing with a quiet space, those that are around me say, hey, Clarissa, you've been in your house rearranging furniture too many days. Or you haven't mentioned that you went out for a walk, or you haven't mentioned what you've eaten today. Those are telltale signs that I'm starting to slip into a quiet space. So everyone that deals with a mental issue, they have their own routines. And it's a matter of, have they recognized their routines yet? I've been living with this for a long time, so I do recognize mine. And I can share it with other people, and I can share it with family members and say, hey, this is what it looks like in me. If you're suspecting that with your loved one, you might just look at what I've just said about me and see if that resonates. Just start picking up patterns, because there is a pattern whether you see it or not.
I have to think that, because I'm guessing you never saw that pattern before.
No.
Right? I mean, that's why you needed to feel something, because you couldn't feel or see any of it. And I don't know if this is the right word, how freeing was it once you got, like having that ice list you talked about makes so much sense, but not if you don't know to use it, right? Not if, like, you now know, if you didn't know then, or even if you did know then, that there are a million people. I know I'm exaggerating a number, but there are a million people that care about you. But if you can't see that in the moment, then how are you going to call them? And I'm just curious how freeing or liberating it was still. And I want to be very deliberate about how I say this, because you alluded to it, and you could, of course, push back. I don't want to put any words in your mouth, but that you're still deal and battle.
Oh yeah.
And you may, I just think it's important, because, we sometimes assume once you're fixed at whatever it is, right? I've been sick, now I'm better. And it doesn't go away, but hopefully over time you learn enough resources personally, because it has to start with you. And so that's what I'm curious is, at what point did you realize, wait a minute, I do have some solutions here? And how freeing was that to understand that you did have some options?
It was the second time that I tried to commit suicide, and it didn't work, obviously.
Thank God.
realized through counseling I needed something, and I needed someone, and I needed to, for me, say, it is okay. You're not broken. I always thought I was broken. I thought I was by myself. And, you take medication. People take medication because of heart conditions and diabetes and all these things. And I'm like, I'm taking medication for depression. I feel great. Guess what? I'm going to go off my medicine. And that's the worst thing for someone to do, is to go off those meds. But when I realized that second time, you have something to live for. You have a voice that's strong. Your story, your journey is still being created. You don't know where it's going to go. Stay here and do what you need to do. So me doing what I needed to do was look at all the relationships in my life and figure out those that were most important to me, those that I know for sure without a shadow of a doubt that I could call and say, or just call. Because sometimes when I call, it is immediately in my voice that they hear that something's not right. And they say, Clarissa, if you're not at my house in 10 minutes, because I have someone that's very close to me within like 5 minutes of me, if you're not at my house in 5 minutes, I will be at your house. And that's friendship, and that's love. And that is, those are the people that I surround myself with now. Though my list is still very tight and small of the ICE list, but everyone, all my jewelry clients, everybody in my family, they know that I battle.
One, I want to thank you and commend you again, and I hope you know that I don't bring any of this up if you're not comfortable with it. Well, hold on, let me back up on that. I'm not saying you're comfortable with it. I don't bring this up if you're not willing, and I know that you have spoken a lot about this, and I think and we're basically just meeting each other, but a couple email exchanges and all that. But I think and it's probably why you're doing it. Not this interview, but talking about this, that you have a chance to save lives. You have a chance to make a difference, because if this badass designer who has this incredible vision that makes people happy battles, it could be any of us, right? And fill in the blank for anyone that has had success at some point, at some level, right? Like, we make this assumption because we put people on pedestals, whether it be athletes or movie stars or even the local TV guy. Like, people make us out to be bigger than we are without the assumption first that my line is always this. And if I don't swear a lot on this show, I might swear a lot off of it. But if Ashley's got to, or not Ashley, if Colleen's got to click the explicit lyric, that's fine. But I always just say, like, everybody has shit that's going on. And for the most part, they're not advertising it. So, like, for me, I just start there. I don't know what it is. I just know it's something. It might be them. It might be their kid. It might be a spouse. It might be a sick parent. It might be bills overdue, whatever it is. Everybody, even who we perceive as they've got it all figured out. Nobody has it all figured out. And so I wonder what it has done for you, as uncomfortable as I assume it is, to be able to maybe make an impact in someone's life. And I'm sure this is different than the feeling you get when you see them wearing your jewelry. But to me, at least on the outside looking in, it's got to be equally powerful. I don't know.
Yeah. So sometimes I talk with 8th grade girls, and we talk, and I'm very open. I share my story very openly with them. And of course, I tell them, talk to a counselor or your parent or someone. more about this, but a lot of times we talk in small groups, and every single time one or two come back to me and close my studio door and say, Miss Clarissa, and they just start talking. And I hold my arms out and they fall in my arms. And if I had had that at 13 years old, my granddaughter is 13, and she's confident and she's strong, and her parents talk to her about any and everything. And if I had had that, I think about how my life would have been different back then. But then I also say, you know what? It's okay that it wasn't, that you didn't have that, because you have it now.
Yeah.
And you're able to share with the young people now. You're able to share openly with men now. I did a collaboration a few years ago with a gentleman, Rodrigo Alvarez, and our piece was all about care. And it was specifically to men of color that battle with mental illness. And my son was there. He's a fireman here in Kansas City, a fire captain. And he said, you know, Mom, when I leave, or to the group, he said, when I leave and go to work every day, I tell my kids bye, because I might not see them again. And that's something so hard to deal with. And we've heard of that with police officers, but we've never heard about that with firemen. We've never heard that about just people in general having to think about these things and how it can cause anxiety, it can cause depression, it can cause your heart to weight down. But when I can go into different spaces and talk to a different group of people and share my story authentically and my journey, and as I tell people, don't be sad for me. Don't be sad for me, because I'm not sad for myself. Don't, sometimes people are, oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. No, it's my story.
Yeah.
It's my story. And we have to, I believe that I am here now because I have a story to tell.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like, Clarissa, you talk about depression so much. Why are you still talking about that? And it's because I have to. Yeah. Because you never know who knows someone that's struggling, or saying that, I just said a moment ago, I felt really good and I stopped taking my medicine, and then I crashed, and then it took me a while to get back on track.
Yeah. You say you never know who knows, but what you do know is you know someone. You know someone. You just do. I mean,
we're human. We're human.
Yeah,
we're human, and we're in the flesh, and we're dealing with something. And unfortunately, but fortunately, you know, the way society is moving so fast, you didn't envision yourself being on a podcast back in the day.
Right.
Who envisioned AI talking to us the way it's talking to us now?
Look,
you know,
if we go back and do this again the next time, it might be the Joel bot and the Clarissa bot, so it might not even be us. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where it's all going, other than the world's moving fast. And, you know, you talk about your 13-year-old granddaughter. These kids are dealing with more than we ever dealt with, and I know that you dealt with so much. But, you know, could you imagine young Clarissa having also had to deal with the social media and the instant gratification? I mean, these kids are set up for failure. And that's why we're seeing so many. And so that's why, to me, the voice that you're lending, not just for kids, for adults too, and for women and for men and for people in the Black community, for everyone. I mean, you talk about your son. I mean, firefighters supposed to be tough. They couldn't possibly go through that. And I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's typically not something that a Black man would talk about. By the way, a lot of white men would not either, but I feel like there's even more of a stigma. I don't know why, in the Black community, like you can't talk about that.
Yeah, and it's lifting. That's the beautiful thing about, that's one thing that came out with COVID, I will say, is that the focus and people realizing that isolation and the depression, it was always there. It was just amplified. And now we have an opportunity to speak that truth, and we can talk about it I also have a 12-year-old grandson. Polar opposites. The children, same parents, but they're polar opposites. But you see these things and you want them to grow up being able to express their emotions, express how they feel, and not be pushed down. It is, I think now we are still working through the stigmatism of mental health. And as long as everyone, regardless of your gender and color and culture, as long as everyone starts speaking more openly about it, is you find that you're not isolated. You're not by yourself. There's somebody else dealing with it and maybe have dealt with it in worse ways than you have.
Yeah. Yeah, and that also could be a trap too, right? The comparison game. Well, it's not this, but I still always go back to someone's dealing with something, and just start with that as the beginning conversation, or at least thought process. I want to shift gears. We could certainly talk about this topic all day, and it wouldn't be enough. But I really hope that everybody listening right now, if you're going through something, I hope you take some comfort in Clarissa's message, or that maybe you learn a little something. Maybe if it's you or it's a loved one or a friend, that you start a nice list, that you start taking some steps to help that person or yourself feel more comfortable and to feel loved, because it's out there. And I know that it can be hard to know it's out there when you're deep in the middle of it, whether that be as the person or their loved one. So if nothing else comes of this podcast today, then that it's a win. But as much as I may not know a whole lot about jewelry, although I do have a pretty nice fat Royals championship ring that always opens eyes wherever I go. But otherwise, that's it. That's it for me. But before I get into my baseball themed questions, I just want to let everybody know, check out the incredible designs and some of Clarissa's work, rissaartisticdesign.com. And we'll have that in the show notes as well. It's spectacular stuff. Yeah. Let's ask the biggest home run that you've hit professionally. What has it been?
The biggest home run, I would say, is I have been able to do what I love full time for the last 8 years. Never expected that to happen. Again, the life changes that occurred pushed me into it a little bit earlier. I was 49 when I started doing my jewelry full time, and I'm single. So
just do it.
This is it. Yeah. This is how I earn my income. It's my jewelry.
I love it. Swing and miss along the way. And what did you learn from it?
So this question, I thought about this for several days.
Sorry to make you think so hard.
You did. You made me think really hard, because I don't really have swing and misses. And the reason I say that is because everything that I do is very much, I try to do things intentionally. Say, for example, I'm creating with deer antler. So it's intentional that I'm creating with deer antler. And where it goes is where it goes. Tree branches, same way. And because of my sister had given me some tree branches one time and told me, do something with these. And I did a little something. So I guess that would be a miss, because she says, no, that wasn't it. That wasn't it. That was really far off, Clarissa. So I did another piece and another piece. And then finally she says, this is it. And that piece came down the runway with West 18th Street Fashion Show in 2019. And that's how I landed the ceiling piece at the Kansas Museum of Kansas City. So swing and a miss, everything
led to a home run.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, how about small ball? What are the little things that lead to big results for you?
The little things, I would say right now where I'm at is just showing up. Showing up for me. When I show up for me, that means I'm showing up for you and everybody else in my life. and I'm showing up for my clients. And it's a trickle effect.
Yeah. All right, I've got 4 final questions as we round the bases. The first one, what is being able to get dirty, so to speak, to be able to get your hands on all of this, to be able to create? What does that do for your mental health, your well-being, to get deep into the weeds into these passion projects?
So it challenges me. Most of all, it challenges me to step out of what I normally see with my own eyes and just let my mind and hands go. It saves my life every time I create, whether I'm creating at home or in my studio, my outside the home studio. It saves my life every time.
All right, second question as we round the bases. This is I always think this is like my favorite and least favorite question to ask people in your shoes, creators or people that have done a lot. You got a favorite piece? It's like asking somebody a favorite kid or favorite relative, but.
Oh my gosh. So do I have a favorite piece? I would say right now, anything that I create with tree branches. Anything, whether it's wall art, or wearable art, jewelry, which, by the way, people do collect my work that don't wear jewelry because
That's
they
art.
put it on.
It's art.
They put it on mannequins. We've done forms. We've had forms sculptured. So yes, they like to look at it. So we figure out a place to put it in their home for them to look at it.
And they get equal enjoyment out of it.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. All right. Third question as we round the bases. You've now seen your work featured in fashion shows. You mentioned the museum, featured on the Peacock original show Bel Air. And there comes a certain point, or actually maybe not, where it becomes normal, or as I said, maybe not. What have those experiences been like to see your work featured in these prominent places or on these, productions, shows, whatever it might be?
Oh, super humbling.
Yeah.
Yeah, super humbling because it wasn't, I don't go, some people look for the opportunities and they're chasing the opportunities. I don't chase the opportunities.
It's the best way.
So like Michael Mackey, love him dearly. He interviewed me many years ago for something else. We became friends. He made the introduction to you. And here we are. So I'm not chasing it. It's going to happen.
Yeah, that's the best way. That's an abundance mindset, by the way. And that's a very healthy mindset as well, because it believes in yourself. It believes in, we hear a lot of talk about believing in the universe. Things work out. They do. And you have to obviously give them the chance and put yourself there. Final question as we round the bases. I was reading, this is a little similar to the last question, but again, I know you can't chase it, that your goal is to have your pieces displayed at the Met Gala, which you also hope to attend. Again, this will happen when it's meant to happen, but what have you visualized with that?
Oh my gosh. So, yeah, I know that I'm 57, and
you're just getting started, by the way.
Exactly, just getting started. So I feel like my life is going to be totally different from what it is. I've always felt like 18, 30, and 60 were my years, or that time span, and as I'm rounding the base to 60, nothing is going to be off limits, but the Met Gala for some reason is really heavy on my heart. And this year I'm going to an event in St. Louis. It's a Met Gala watch party. This past year I went to the Met to see the display that was there before it left, and back in September. I can just see some of my sculptural, wearable, large art pieces on mannequins there in their museum and worn by whomever at the event. I don't know how it's going to happen.
It just
It
will.
might happen. It just will. It just will.
Yeah.
And I want to be alive. Let me preface
Yeah.
this. I would love to be alive to see that.
Yeah. Let's let her experience that, and
Yes.
it will happen. I can't wait to see and hear about it happening. You deserve every bit of that. And in the meantime, I know that you're going to keep doing what you're doing and making an impact in so many different ways. And so, again, I want to remind everybody to check out the website, whoever you are, if you're listening or watching. Just check it out, and maybe you can start the conversation. Notice that Clarissa has not come on here selling anything, so this is the closest we'll probably get to it as me saying it. RissaArtisticDesign.com. More importantly, if you need help, get help. Surround yourself with people. Be there for other people. I can't thank you enough for your vulnerability, for your willingness to share your experiences, and of course your passion nowadays as well. Clarissa, it's so good to be able to connect with you. So grateful to have you on the podcast, and keep up the great work and all the impact that you're making.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's around the bases. Everybody knows Joe Goldberg.